What is up, ladies and gents? Now I'm going to turn it over to my friend Tim, who I certainly have not greeted on a show earlier today that we tried to do. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well for the second time around. It's great to talk with you one more time. Listen, I may or may not have gremlins in my home office. They may or may not have messed around with my roadcaster. But I think it's squirreled away. I think we're good to go. It's great to be back. We got a bunch of good topics. Listen, Jiu-Jitsu has been juicy this week. And there's some things we're going to have to address. We're going to have to talk about. I can't wait.
Yeah, the people are saying there is still an echo for Tim, so I'm going to try something here. We're now getting into deep matters, so I'm going to do something. I am going to go without my pristine sound.
Okay.
So that might be dangerous because I'm now going without my roadcaster. So now Tim is hearing me with my junky speaker.
Yes.
And it sounds terrible on my side, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to have to do.
Do I still have an echo? That's the question.
That is the great question. So if people in the comments can let us know if Tim still has an echo, that would be great, given the fact that I have unplugged my stuff, because it may be more on his end. Tim has less echo.
What? That's not helpful. It's either on or off.
This
is binary.
That's a terrible answer, not the one we were looking for. And usually my echo cancellation does assure that it's going to be okay. And he says he just sounds different than Raf. I guess not an echo. So I guess the idea here is, Tim, if we left it up to the crowd and we had asked if one of us got into an emergency, is Tim dead? Yeah. They'd be like, slightly. Oh, it's usually a yes or no if he's dead. He might be cooked. What does that mean? Still a little cooked. Still a little dead. Yeah. Good to know.
He looks different than an alive person.
Well, I'm okay making a sacrifice. I'll just talk loud enough so that it should be. Oh, it says he's good. Well, I'll believe Brian. I think Brian still has ears. I'm not sure that Egghead does. And look at this. We see quotation marks for the Egghead now and there. So we don't know if we're supposed to take that seriously or not. But nonetheless, we have a lot of show to talk to you about. You were talking, and I'll just repeat what you were saying in case people didn't hear it. But there was a lot of headlines that had their way into this world. So I think we would be remiss if we didn't just address some of those headlines right up top, which is going to require us to go directly to this week's board. To begin this week's board, we do have to present some unfortunate news, which is that, yes, it did break out this week that J-Rod is no longer with B-Team. Now, B-Team, known for making crazy jokes, pushing the envelope in that way, actually took zero time in delaying what seemed to be a pretty effective ban for J-Rod when it was alleged that he was using pornography for some of the members, the female members of B-Team. Now, this is something that is important for the community to talk about, but I will say, just before we start, I think there is a little bit of an appreciation that, yes, B-Team took care of this very quickly, and they addressed it, where most gyms would not. And it is a great reminder that, yes, it doesn't matter what gym, what person. In this particular case, they said, yeah, we know who you are. You're a very prominent member of the community. And they seemed to say that even you are not going to be above recourse on this. So, Tim, what were your initial thoughts when you did see this news break out? And was there any kind of takeaways that you were able to take from this specific example and case?
Yeah, my initial instinct, Raf, was I was just disappointed. Not just like, oh, J-Rod, I'm disappointed in you. I was just disappointed for jiu-jitsu because it just feels like every time jiu-jitsu tries to make a little headway, we got some big moves. PGF's got this big announcement, and it's like, no, it's J-Rod booted from the B team. That's the story of the day that we got to talk about. And it wasn't a great story. And at the same time, this is a young guy with a ton of potential. with who seemed to be going in a good direction, and now he derails himself in a way that is going to hurt him, right? It's going to hurt. It's going to cost something. And that doesn't specifically mean money, but it's going to cost you something. You're going to have to figure that out. So, disappointed in that. And then at the same time, disappointed for these ladies who were like, it's hard enough already to get women to train jujitsu. I have a women's jujitsu program out here in Nashville. I give it away. It's free. If you're a lady and you want to train, just come. Every other Tuesday night, we got a ladies class. Come. Everybody can come. It's super hard to get women to come and train. It's already difficult. And then when stuff like this goes down, it just reinforces that resistance and makes it even harder. So at a certain point, these guys that want to be professional athletes in these academies with these students and these professors and instructors and coaches, gonna have to take care of culture in a better way. Gonna have to, everyone is so on the lookout for certain red flags that they miss the others, and one of those things is just having a strong culture that doesn't sexualize jujitsu, that doesn't sexualize the students, that keeps it about the sport and the martial art that we all love, that gives us so much, that gave us each other. Don't desecrate that. So it's just a bummer all the way around. I'm glad they handled it. I really am. And I like Craig. I get what Craig is doing. But listen, Craig, you're barely getting by on this one, in my opinion, because you got all this shit you do and you put it out there on Instagram, and yes, it's entertainment. I get it. But man, you got some good karma, some goodwill in the jiu-jitsu community's bank account. And I think you had to make a withdrawal on this one. I think you did the right thing, but man, like, we're trying to make money. We're trying to grow this into something real. We got to stop derailing it. It's so ridiculous. So anyway, sucks that it happened, man. Overall, sucks that it happened. I hope that, the ladies are okay, and I hope J-Rod can figure it out. I really do. So
thank you for that, Tim. Let me just kind of bring in my small 2 cents here, and I'm not sure if it's any different from what you had to say, but it is pointing out one thing, which is, okay, we understand that this is a problem within the community. If you're in the comment section or making memes about this, I really just want you to think really heavily about what you're doing here. I have seen some defenses that say, no, we need to make fun of this because satire. Okay. I don't know that many of you qualify as the next Mark Twain with your understanding of satire. You probably are just really riding a wave of creating this culture that I think makes women more apprehensive to be a part of. Why is that? Well, hey, listen, doing one joke is fine, and I understand it. We all make jokes here. But I think before you post it, probably ask yourself, if you're a female or you have a female friend at an academy, what good does this post saying the equivalent of no Diddy really do to advance any kind of awareness? It's a lot of you who probably same thought or mentality figure, you know what, we really got that Epstein case by adding these 45 memes about it. I'm doing my part. I just think it's probably better to actually help people in that particular case. And if you feel the need to meme, that's perfectly fine. But they seem like the lowest common denominator jokes. Like every single time, I don't know that you would post that if you had a lady next to you or a female or if that was your sister. So just be smart about what you're doing, because the culture's sort of instinct to go, oh, it's really up to the line and pushing the edge, is precisely the reason why so many women feel so awkward in so many jiu-jitsu gyms. So Just something to think about. I mean, Egg, I think we're in agreement here. It's those who keep saying satire, I don't think that word means what they think it means. Yes, 100% is the Princess Bride moment. It's just, it's using like this weird shield of like satire from personal responsibility, which, listen, nobody's telling you can't. There's not necessarily a Gestapo. I mean, who knows, given this climate of culture. But for the most part, you can do the jokes. It's just, why are you doing the jokes? And what service do you get? And if you're a meme page, you're definitely getting a lot more looks based off of that. And maybe the culture, maybe the group of jiu-jitsu practitioners laugh at it and they give you a cheap laugh. Yeah, maybe. But I don't know what long term that does. So, just a thought before you post it. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen one yet that I thought was funny. So, just in terms of a joke construction, y'all can do better. Having said that, we're now going to get into happier news because it does look like we got the long awaited results and news from the PGF. So, a lot of you have been asking us in particular, hey, what do you know about the PGF? And every single time I've had to respond with this particular response. Huh? Me? PGF? Know something? I don't. I do know some stuff, but now you are caught up to speed. The PGF is expanding to a 3-month process that will include weeks in between the draft and then the actual season, where there will be a week in between play, and then another series of weeks, a break if you would, before the grand finale in early September. So I guess what I'm telling you guys is, we're excited here. We're glad we could finally talk about it because we get nuggets of information, not the whole thing. So even if we were to be held up at gunpoint, we probably would have been murdered because we go, I only know it's a weekly format because they're trying to get scheduling and that's all I know. But now we can talk a little bit about it. Now let's talk about the implications. Tim, what are some of the implications of making a week-long format now spread out into 3 months?
Well, it does a couple of things. One is it really legitimizes a season as a season. One of the hard sells of a season is to say this is a season and then it's over in 5 days. It's like, how do you tell that to your dad? Like, oh, I'm going to be on this new season. It's over in 5 days. So now that it's stretched out, right? It's a true season and it has that true seasonal feel to it. The week in between gives a lot of time for stories to develop. It gives time for content to be distributed and put out there. So it's really a stretching out of the process so we could take a deeper dive into it. And honestly, this is the big news this week. This is what we all should have been talking about the entire week. This is the first time this has ever happened. It's truly a big deal. There's a lot of people that are like, they're not sure. They like the PGF. They're like, what? This is going to play very, very well. That's my prediction. When this goes out there, it's going to play very well. Pay attention for draft day. It's coming up on June 25th. We're going to have a lot of time to break down every single fight that happens. In the past, man, we had to bust that show out we're up till 1 a.m. trying to bust it out. Now we got time to really sit on it and deal with it and work it into something great for the viewer. So I'm stoked, man.
Well said, Tim. And I think you brought up kind of the point of analysis that I wanted to get into, which was, listen, guys, I think that we've always done a pretty good job here at the show. I don't think you know how much time goes into the actual project that we do when it's a week-long event. Now, I know we talk a lot about the athletes having to do a marathon, and that is 100% true. But we're not far behind there. Literally, the planning for the next show would happen at midnight. Like, it would be us getting it together, and there would be some highlights that I go, that'd be cool to show. Too bad I'm already asleep. That would be cool to put on this week's board. Too bad I'm dead. on the inside. So we had come up with different ways. I will tell you this: pros and cons. Pro, I think for the athletes, this is a big win. I think if you are an athlete involved with the PGF, your body's going to get more time to recuperate. Second, it's going to give you the opportunity to actually feel like a professional athlete. Not that you didn't when you went to the PGF for a 1 week experience, but that almost felt kind of like going away to summer camp for a week. You'd see your parents, you'd see your friends shortly thereafter. But 3 months now becomes akin to when you see certain teams go and take trips to go away and come back. It's similar to a football weekly schedule. You go and perform, you come back, you go out again. It's a travel gig. And really, our athletes don't have that experience. They don't know what it's like to actually travel as being part of their sport for the same event. They may themselves be traveling to different individual events, and that may have prepared them adequately, at least for the constraints of travel, but it doesn't mean that they had the same objective that they're working season long to get to. Additionally, it does harken back to the original origins of the PGF. So, yes, it does come nicely full circle. I would argue, though, this was always the goal, just now we're closer to actually manifesting it with a lot of names that you recognize and with good purpose and potentially a very exciting place to watch it. Again, don't ask me about that. I'm not answering those questions. So I'll put that out there for you guys. Having said all this, cons. I mean, getting to Vegas is a bit of a, you know, logistical nightmare for a lot of people. And there are a lot of people behind the scenes who put this together. So it will mean that you will not see everybody in the same way that we have seen it before. Even the show, we're going to figure out exactly how we're doing it. A lot of it will be done remotely. But, we're looking into things on maybe making some surprises and trying to be out there if we can. But it's going to be a little bit different. So you should probably put that into your expectations. Whether that is a good or a bad thing, we don't know yet. But we do know that we are coming up with creative ways to make the show as interesting as it was in the past. Maybe, if so, more. But that travel on a staff, that is a little bit unfortunate. So I feel like for the athletes, A plus. For the staff, it's going to be a grind. So what I would say is, please be nice to the people who work on the show. I'm not even talking about me or Tim. You guys are plenty nice to us when you want something like news about what is happening at the PGF. I'm saying to the wonderful people who work on this show, who really do go out of their way to put on a really good broadcast. Those people are going to be traveling very, very long hours and doing some stuff. So please, again, be very kind to them. So those are my initial notes. And I guess we're in a new season of let's see how this works. Because I'm excited to see two things, Tim, and I'm going to bring you back in for this one. And this is just a discussion point. I'm excited for two things here, and I want to get your thoughts on them. The first is, will this improve the general health of the athletes? We saw what the toll took when they had to do day after day after day. Now, will they still be in good shape? Will they have that week long to recover? Does that make a huge difference? Or is that just going to be a longer time that they may have a nagging injury that goes maybe at the beginning of the season and stays with them throughout the entirety of that process?
I think that this is going to benefit the athletes tremendously. And the reason I say that is, and yes, it's no longer an Ironman, but maybe we can still see that. Maybe there's a place for that somewhere, right? But now that it's stretched out, if you go out there, you have a bad week. You just, man, I went 0-3, I got sub twice. Dang, that's rough. Now they can go back, nurse some injuries, watch some video, pick up some ideas based off last week's performance, and they can come back ready to go again. So I think it's going to be great for them. I think that it gives them an opportunity to redeem themselves like week after week pretty quickly and get some recovery in. I'm assuming they're going to have to weigh in like every, Tuesday night? Like, I don't know how that's going to work.
I didn't know that, but I was asking that myself.
That would be interesting. That would kind of incentivize them to stay in shape throughout the duration of the event. But, you know, and also the other factor, just real quick, is it depends on who the team owners are and who the coaches are. Because of an involved coach and owner, they're gonna make sure that their athletes are taking care of themselves. They're gonna make sure. So we're gonna learn some things.
Thank you for that. I would say maybe we should come up with a developed system where if you lose, you have to stay in Vegas. Like you aren't given a plane ticket out. Maybe that's how we keep costs low.
There you go.
It says here from Egghead, it says athletes will be able to strategies with coaches. Huge. UK, KW.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. The unknowns. Okay. See, I'm glad he's decoding his own language here. But the unknowns will have less of an advantage.
Hold on, wait. Listen, Egg, shorthand doesn't work if then you have to send another message to explain your damn shorthand. Go ahead.
Don't worry. No. Don't worry. He's sending more as if to help his case. As athletes and coaches will have time to game plan. Egg, can I just say this? How is it that you have the same chicken scratch that my dad used to have, but it's in the form of written text on a computer? Like, it took me a while, whatever, I'd have to decipher my dad's notes, and I'm like, who reads this? And he had a secretary who could beautifully translate it, and I'm his son, and I could not. This is perfectly legible. I can read it. I don't know that I understand it because every single time you're adding corrections that go, no. Here's the correction to the correction. The correction is, yes, no, wait, I need to correct what I just put previously. And it says big thumbs on a small phone. My man, it's time to invest in a keyboard. So, okay,
man.
I was discussing that one point. We said, will the athletes be injured for longer? You brought up the teams element. The larger question I had here, Tim, that I felt that was apt for discussion is, will people quit midway through? Because we've seen people get broken. I wonder if the breaking happens more or less. Because the specific amount of breaking we have seen in the PGF is when people are on teams and they feel like their teams can't win. So they go, you know what, deuces, I'm out of here. And they get out of the way. What happens if you have to continuously go back and travel and you are the equivalent of, let's say, I don't know, the lovable Chicago Cubs, where maybe you might have a good season, but it's not going to give you anything in the playoffs? Like, I wonder if there is a go home mentality that is either quieter or more present in this series.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a factor. I actually think it's going to go both ways, and I'll explain that. But that's a really good point because when you're there for 4 or 5 days straight, it's a little easier to gut it out. Just be like, okay, I just got to be here till Friday, and you're around all the boys, and everybody's like, you know, your teammates you're staying in the same place. Like, I don't want to let these guys down, right? Ah, man, these guys, like, I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna stay. But if you got to go home and think about it, and then you come back and you have another bad week, and you go home and you come back, and then your team, it becomes evident by, you know, week 3, like you ain't gonna do it. It could be rough to convince yourself to stick it out. Now, I hope that there's some kind of monetary penalty that would take place. You know, if you don't finish the season, then obviously you shouldn't get paid for the whole season. But that's above my pay grade. I just talk. The other thing is, I think we're going to see the guys that do well are going to be the ones that stay in Vegas. And I think that's going to probably be the first trend we see with the athletes, where they're like, you know what? For PGF, I make arrangements and I stay in Vegas for 6 weeks and I just stay out there and I'm part of it. So I think it'll go both ways. I think you'll see people go home, and you'll also see people go, I'm going to go stay in Vegas for the rest of the season. Like, we got a chance. These guys are already there. They're doing great. I can train with them. I'm going.
Thank you for that, Tim. I do notice this though, as we start to talk about all these athletes, that now we're getting a whole bunch of different scenarios that people are coming up with, which is, well, what if this happens, then does this happen? Does this happen and this happen? Like, I think there's so much that we don't necessarily know in this particular case, so we're all going to take this journey together. And I feel like as we take this journey together, there are going to be learning curves. And I really hope that you guys are patient with this because Lord knows we don't know how this is going to go. And Tim, you were even previewing other things where you were talking about the individuals who might be involved, the coaches who might be involved. We don't know those things. So even when I hear rumors of it, no, no, don't know. Not aware of it. You don't have the money to do it. Even if you could shake us down. I don't think anybody has any money to bribe us. Like, I would like to say that people have money because jiu-jitsu is so poor, but I think in order to do any kind of jiu-jitsu bribe that's worth like the equivalent of $1 million, I can't even think of a financial figure that would secure our lives, Tim. That'd be like, you know what? We're going to sell you this information for 2,000. No, that's not going to work. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
12 free geese.
12 free keys. 12 free keys from the past. They have to be quality show your roll geese. No use show your rolls. Thank you.
Yeah.
Having said that, we're now going to move to our next topic, which is that of a streak. So in this particular case here, we are talking about is the real streak 166. So Tim, what specifically are we talking about here when we ask about the streak being 166?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Last week or the week before, we had a discussion about 300-0 versus 400-0 and these glorified records that we hear about that are impossible to verify. I'm not saying that they're not that record, so relax. I love the BJJ lifestyle just as much as anybody. I'm just saying they're unverified. That's just a fact. I'm just stating facts. What's not unverified is Gabby Pisano's 166 match win streak. She had been going for years without losing a match, and she just got beat at the Brazilians, right? The Brasileiros by Tayane Porfirio. I have such a hard time with that last name. I messed up Andre's last name constantly in season 6. So Gabby had a 166 match win streak, and then it ended, and no one's really talking about it that much. And I'm like, damn, I think this is the streak. I think this is who's got a better win streak than that. Do you know? Is Gordon's win streak that? I don't think Gordon has that win streak. I don't think Musamichi has it. Does anybody have it? I think this is the GOAT in terms of win streaks in jiu-jitsu.
Well, even if Gordon doesn't have that win streak, you really don't want to be there for him to explain to you how many wins he's got because it could get pretty lengthy. He'll go through each one of them individually. I get the feeling that Gordon's the person that's like, hey, have you seen my wedding video? Just sit down. I'll just put it on. It's only 45 minutes. It's all great. So, I don't know what to say here. I think 166 is one of the largest streaks. I think that it reaches a realm of almost can't believe it because any one of us could go to a tournament and lose, and that would be an acceptable result. I couldn't imagine what it would feel like when you get off the ride at 166 and you go, damn, that's what this feels like again. I don't know if you feel it more intensely or if you've learned to compartmentalize it because you go, oh, well, I never really lose, and it's been 166 times before I've lost before, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I just think it's an incredibly impressive feat, so really, really cool to see, and I don't know. I don't know that we're going to see somebody hit that modern because so many of our good players get pitted against each other. It is remarkable that we saw it go that far. So it's a definite new high mark. Maybe just, you know what? I feel like Helena's even been beaten by like points and whatnot. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's intense. Like, she was one of the few that I felt like that was super dominant. Gordon's had his run. Yeah. And again, hats off to her, man.
Impressive.
We're going to go ahead and move the board up a little bit further right now as we go to our next topic of discussion, which is that of Keanu, which is insane to me because I wanted to talk about Keanu Reeves here. But instead, we're going to talk about the segment that has been in the back of my mind, and I've been wondering when you wanted to talk about it. But it does look like there is a competition where jiu-jitsu happens in suits. I have to say, big fan of this concept. One, love the John Wick movies. Two, love being in a suit. You've seen me on it many times in the show. I have two modes: bum or in a suit. Right now, you got bum.
Yeah, you do.
Yesterday, I was in a suit when I went to a John Mulaney taping because they said, please dress up for this. And at the very end of the show, John Mulaney addressed the crowd and goes, well, you guys look lovely. And now that's the rule going forward. Everybody's got to get dressed up. Have a great night, everybody. Good night. So I go, oh, we were the guinea pigs for this. But my wife and I had a very lovely time and looked amazing. But I guess the question here is, Tim, what does this have to do with jiu-jitsu, and does it change anything, especially once you have a tie? Tell us more about suit jiu-jitsu, if you would be so kind.
So this is something that I came across, and I think I came across my radar about a week ago, and I did one of those things like, oh, we got to talk about that, and then I got a lot of we got to talk about that items in my head, and it dropped off. And I also do that move where I'm like, I'm gonna write it down. No, I'll remember. I won't forget this. And it's like, yeah, it's out. So this was John Wick Invitational 2, grappling in suits. Oh, also with weapons. So this took place on April 20th. These guys, it features competitors. They're in full suits. They're tailored. They're fitted. Now, they're not savages. They don't wear their Stacey Adams dress shoes on the mat. They took those off, but they did have the gold toe dress socks on. So you got to wear the dress socks, which I would opt to take those dress socks off. I want the grip of my feet on the mats. And they get after it. And I believe it's at the 2-minute mark. They throw a weapon in the pit. Obviously, it's a replica weapon. And then the athletes can fight over that weapon, determine how they're going to use it, et cetera, et cetera. It's really interesting to watch. But after you watch it for a few minutes, it is kind of like, this is gi jujitsu. This is basically me and my cousin Matt growing up in our super Pentecostal religion with our suits on in the back of the church because we snuck out and now we're trying to wrestle each other. That's basically what this is. It's gi jujitsu, but it's fun to watch. I like that they integrate the weapons. And I think it kind of has a cool, slick feel to it. The pit's a little bit small. There's probably a niche market for it, but I don't know how sustainable the business plan is, but it was fun to watch, man.
I'm glad you mentioned it because, yes, it did make my radar. And sometimes when stuff gets shown to me on my Instagram for your page, little recommendations, or the algorithm says, hey, you might like this. I saw people in suits and I thought, is this a gag? Then I saw proof of it and I said, is this AI? Then I saw it happen again and I said, they're just targeting me. Is this a fever dream I'm having? And in actuality, it's a real thing. And I've had this dude on my radar who runs it as somebody who I've wanted to interview. I saw Jits just interviewed him, so I wonder if he'd be ready for a better interview. Love you, Jits. But I just thought to myself, it's so intriguing because so many of us love the John Wick movies in martial arts because we feel like it's a better representation of fighting than most other movies, where there's maybe a little less suspension of disbelief and a lot better fight choreography. Having said all of that, I still feel like this should answer the age old question. You really think that somebody's going to wear a suit and just like I'd be able to fight them with it? And the answer is, yeah, dude. If you're wearing a hoodie, I'm using that shit against you if I've really got to. One of the bigger guys that I know, he was like, hey man, he works security. He goes, do you really think you would take me in a gi match and that would make a difference? I was like, you're wearing a hoodie right now. I've already thought of 3 ways I'd kill you. And he goes, Yeah, but I'm big. And I go, have you not seen Spider-Man fight the Punisher? Daredevil fight the Punisher? That's really all this is. And the Punisher has like weird, unexplained strength. You're beaten by a hot wing. So like, I know what I'm doing here, guy. Nonetheless, very excited for that. So, to the gentleman who puts that together, thank you, Jits Magazine. Thank you for giving that some more coverage. He's right on the cusp of me wanting to ask more about it. But the only thing I don't love is I don't love doing the like, let's throw a weapon in. The only time I have ever advocated putting a weapon in is when I've run out of things to do in a no-gi submission only time limit sort of situation. Where there is no time, I said, all right, after 30 minutes, I'm putting a gun in there or a pipe. Literally one of the clue-based murder weapons. A candlestick will avail itself at minute 30 if nobody has a submission. So, nonetheless, very happy about that. Well, we now will advance this board yet again to talk about our next topic, which is that look at this. Well, don't love this one. Didn't know what RAF meant on the board. Should have read the pre-rundown. Okay, so the first one being Keanu. I was excited to talk about because I have a shitty Keanu Reeves impression that I used to do. And by the way, made it to a semifinal in a fall festival Shakespeare adaptation reading competition when I did Shakespeare as played by Keanu Reeves, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sean Connery. And they said these impressions are pretty good. And the issue that I had was people were like, Keanu Reeves would never do Shakespeare. And I go, actually, he was in the movie Much Ado About Nothing. So my man has done Shakespeare. And that did me good wonders. Now you put my name on the board. And I thought, all right, this is a freeform talk. I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. Nope, it's Hulk Hogan. All right. So what does this acronym mean here, Tim? What does RAF mean to the now general, very confused public?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, brother. I'm going to show you my pythons first, my 13-inch pythons.
Can't
then I'm going to tell you.
Fast enough, moving myself out.
RAF stands for Real American Freestyle. So I think maybe a week ago, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff from WCW days, wrestling business executive, pretty well-known name. Obviously, everyone knows Hulk Hogan. Released a video that was in black and white, and it really felt like an NWO promo video that would have led into Nitro or something like that. It had that feel to it, and it's Hogan acting like Hollywood Hogan and doing his hands and doing the do and doing all that. It was the Venom version of Hogan, right? And they announced that they're going to be doing a new thing, Real American Freestyle. So this is going to be unscripted freestyle wrestling matches, genuine Olympic freestyle wrestling matches, but they are going to look to try to build the stories and the athletes and the promotion and the production like professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan has expressed his commitment. Now, I don't know if these freestyle wrestlers know what Hulk Hogan's word is, but he's given his word that he's going to provide financial incentives for the athletes, win bonuses, champion purses, all that kind of stuff. Today, they announced that they signed 3 Olympic medalists, which is a big deal. Kyle Snyder, Kyle Dake, and Aaron Brooks. So that brings a lot of attention to the promotion. Their first event is going to be August 30th in Cleveland. They're going to debut it. I'm definitely going to watch it. I don't know what it's going to play like, but one thing I do know is Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff know how to promote. They're not dumb, but can they pull in freestyle wrestling and give it the sparkle and the shine of professional wrestling? I don't know. I'm sorry, Raf. I knew this topic was going to be a psychological letdown for you. I didn't mean to do that to you, but I also kind of thought it was funny too. So there you have it.
Do you understand that my friends were the first to bring this up to me? And they said, "Hey, Raf, do you know what this acronym means?" And I was like, "What?" They're like, "RAF." And I go, "It's not an acronym. It's in my name, my nickname, if you would. Half of my name." No, 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 the Hogan thing. Hmm? No, no, no. And then I had this moment where they were sending me memes, and so I was ahead of it, which I felt good about. Being associated with anything Hogan in the year of our Lord 2025 is not necessarily something anybody looks or aspires to. Additionally, Eric Bischoff was very good at television for a period of 3 years. Let's say three. Can they do it? It's possible. Sometimes things have a way of coming back full circle. Is it likely? No. Here's why. Those three talents, though, incredible. That's a big, big get for them. Do they know how to play up to that style? I am uncertain of. A lot of really good wrestlers tend to have to suppress their personality so that they can be hardcore and get those wins, which is not super exciting. But if you have somebody who knows how to cut promos, that'd be good. It's just Hogan's forte of promos were 80s, 90s. So I don't know that you're going to get the kind of Shawn Michaels apprenticing these people to bring out their best of their personalities for NXT sort of, and doing a lot of, "Hey man, that was good, but can I get at least three more brothers in there? You got to throw a brother in there." It's like, you don't. Sir, just
You got,
do your wrestling match.
you got to grow your hair out.
Do you have any shoe polish? Brother, you got to at least throw a little here and a little here. It's going to be great. I think the weirdest part that nobody's considered is, yes, these are real wrestlers, but none of them have had Hogan creative control. So Hulk Hogan might be doing this just so he can get one more title run right at the very end when you least expect it. One of these guys is going to have sand in their eyes. Is he dead? He's just going to do this. And then all of a sudden, Hulk Hogan is coming out there to win the day, get one last title run that the WWE was not going to give him. So
Oh man.
I wish you wrestlers well. I would just say you would do well to read up on some references to be ready for it. Nonetheless, thank you for that, Tim. We will keep eyes on that, unfortunately. Whatever. And starting in Ohio, you know what? You deserve this one, Ohio. God bless. I've never been more okay with an organization that feels somewhat nefarious starting in Ohio because I think, yeah, that checks out. That should happen there. So we'll come back to that again. We do have some congratulations to give here. Looking by this photo, it is one of our own, one who was in here, I think, a little bit earlier when we were making our announcements about the PGF. Tim, what is this beautiful photo that you have put not once but dose into the chat? What is it, and what is it that we are looking at right now?
So over the weekend, last weekend, PGF commissioner and good friend of ours, Brandon McCatherine, was promoted to a black belt in the gi. He is widely known as a 10th Planet black belt. And he was recently given his black belt by the legendary Carlos Machado. And I had the chance to chat with him a little bit about it. He came up to Nashville on Wednesday night and dropped by, taught a class for us, which was great. And I asked him, like, how long have you been working on this, man? Like, well, what's up with that? And he's like, he said, you know, in the way that only Brandon can talk, he's like, I've been doing it for quite a while, man. I just, I was keeping it under my hat. I don't want to make a big deal. So he got his black belt. Awesome. Carlos Machado's great. Fantastic jiu-jitsu. Great dude. So not a better guy to get it from in the gi. So congrats to Brandon, man. That's a great accomplishment.
That was your form of congratulations. I also had one that I wanted to give out to a friend. Um, this is actually from pal of the show, Drew Sklove. So Drew put together this idea that for his 40th birthday, he wanted to have 40 rounds. Now, here's how it worked. Each person would go online and pay a certain amount of money to roll with him. Now, it wasn't for him, it was for the charity Tap Cancer Out. So it was for good. But that meant the earlier people that went, they paid about $20 for a 3-minute slot that would then be donated to Tap Cancer Out. As they got to the end, those last slots were going for as much as $100. So I thought, hey man, this is a perfect opportunity to attack Drew because he's a pretty tough grappler, and if he got it like super demolished by all these other people, it's going to be one of my best shots at beating this guy straight up. They sold out. So by the time I looked to get a ticket to go and punch my ticket there, my man was already high in demand. Well, they extended a beautiful invite for us to go and go see the festivities, and I did go see it. And I want to narrate this for you, Tim, because it'll give you a little bit of a sense of what you didn't get to see there live. But this was encapsulated by one final roll for 3 minutes. And you may recognize the Modelo chasing Jeff Glover here, getting in a quick shotgun beer before they have their 3-minute roll. And look at this. The hug already starts off in a bad space. Now with bad intentions, Drew Sklove was looking to try and get something in, but the very wily one Jeff Glover not able to sustain a full takedown, so they get to the ground all the way through. I want to give props to this entire team because you're seeing only a fraction of the amount of live people who were in attendance. I should also point out the Donkey Guard was getting a huge pop from the crowd as everybody seemed super excited that this was going on. This may be the only time an ankle pick has ever paid off for Jeff Glover. Nonetheless, Drew takes the back, can't maintain the back because this is roll, 40 of 40 for him. And what was really great about this whole event is that you walked in, there was a bounce castle, there were families, and you got to see the extent of the full street sports community. And although functionary at the very end, just kind of a fun role to end things, everybody here was trying to murder Drew. I kid you not. Everybody else seemed to have my idea because some of these people were gunning for his head with darces, guillotines, a heavy. They were not letting him have easy rolls. And I'm not going to lie to you, there was a moment in time where I thought maybe I just take a roll so that I could give him 3 minutes off. And his wife very hilariously told me, yeah, people did that. People wanted to make sure he was going to make it till the end. And as you can see here, things almost getting dicey for Drew. And the crowd is very lively here. So yes, outside there were vendors. There was I think a vendor by the name of Real Gangsters, a apparel that Drew usually sports. So it was really cool to see that community come together and just enjoy this. So now, even as you're watching the beautiful parts, the ends of this round, like it is pretty impressive to have somebody of Jeff Glover's caliber coming in to support our buddy Drew Sklove and to give him kind of like a great send off for what was a great thought. And he did accomplish all 40 for 40. They were pretty on schedule. This said it would end at about noon Pacific time. And this finale, this final match, was happening at about 12:15. So really the only seeming times that Drew had were breaks because people would tell them if he wanted a gi or a no gi roll. So this man went from gi one round to then going no gi to then putting on a rash guard in one for a sponsor, taking off the rash guard, probably because he was overheating, and still giving you something fun to watch. Now, what you're going to see here is everybody counting it down, and it just felt like the end of a movie where everybody got these confetti guns. They blowed it at Drew. Definitely raised a good amount of money for charity, and I want to give some props to not only Jeff Glover, who came through for Drew at the very end, but for that entire group of individuals. It is one of the most unique things that I have ever seen. So I'm not saying he's the only person that has done this. I know other people have done birthday rolls like this, but I think it is commendable to have something with such a great purpose and see the community show out for him. So props to Drew, props to that street sports family. It was really great. And thank you for the invite. I appreciated being out there. So
Yeah, that's a great idea.
now that we've done the functionary sort of congratulations here, uh, I think that opens our karma to doing the shitty version of our show, which is talking about this week's low light highlight. What is the fight of the week that you found for us this week, Tim?
This is a very, very special fight. And I want to set the context because, and listen, I'm not anti cop. Just get that out of your head. But I am saying if you've ever been messed with by a cop and you're a dude, you for sure have had the fantasy of saying, take your gun and your badge and take it off and we'll throw dukes and then we'll see what's up. And this appears to be maybe Mexico. The police officer obliged street dude. He dumps his gear off and these guys throw down. And I gotta say, I respect it. It's a fight. And if you pay attention the whole time, I'll call it out when I walk through it. But yeah, anyway, great fight. Like nothing I've ever seen before. I can't believe this cop did this. This was wild. A lot of fun to watch.
Okay. It should be noted that the harder you try to say that you're not anti-police, the more lists you do go on. So just keep that in mind in terms of relevancy. But why don't we go ahead and go straight to that very, very good fight that you have selected for us. I will put that on right now and narrate it for us, if you would be so kind, Tim.
All right, so they're setting up the ground rules right now, and cop dude, they throw a couple punches, and he's like, "All right," vest comes off, and now he covers up good, and he's swinging left and right hooks off the cover up. You could tell, and he catches homie a couple times with the flea market Gucci shorts on, and we got Oscar De La Roya. He's doing some good dukes and like some good fakes, and then they lock up, and this is where Cop Bro messed up. And if you pay attention, Cop Bro still has his gun on him. They go for a takedown. Now, bystander jumps in, and there's another cop watching. Now, here's where Cop Guy messes up. He doesn't do a proper technical stand-up. He takes 2 boots to the head, 3 boots to the head. His partner, not very much help. He doesn't have a 6. They keep going. He's like, all right, I'm going to get mine back. Not one time does this cop pull the weapon. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Eddie Bravo texted me once recording the video. Apologies. Yeah, the video was so good, Eddie had to jump into it somehow.
Hey, have you seen that one video of that one cop? That's crazy. I mean, the weirdest part is that cop, he was so crazy. He took so many hits. I was just thinking, I gotta sign that other guy up for a CJJ now. Like, don't I? I think that's what I have to do.
Look at the horizon. That's flat Earth.
Yeah. All right, let me start by narrating my version of this. Thank you for that. I want to point this out very quickly because it will be the most present thing you said, which is that Tim mentioned at the very top of it that it probably happened in Mexico. And I know it didn't happen in Mexico for this very reason. There is no Mexico filter on this. So I do not see it in yellow or sequin green. So whenever you get those combinations of colors, you know you're in Mexico as per Netflix or any movie you have ever seen. Let's go straight into this footage. Here's what I love about this dude. The vest coming off is the same thing. Like, it's the cop version of taking off your shirt in a street fight. It's like, nope, this is how we're doing this. Cop squares up. He's going to go straight in. You're right. He does start with some good bobbing and weaving. And he looks at him. This is where the taunting happens, where he goes, nah, man, that wasn't shit. You could do better. And he says, yeah, I probably can, fam. Give me a second. Now, what are we looking at here with the homie? The homie over here is filming it. So we've got 2 angles, which begs the question, why is this not a remastered director's cut where I can get 2 different angles on this? Because I'd love to see what the face of the perp looks like. But I suppose they would not be coordinating that. I don't think they were friends after this. Nonetheless, a few strikes happen here. And you are right. This double, like, unders is where most people would have greater success. You would think a takedown is going to happen here, but instead he actually gets overpowered and, to his credit, tried throwing his opponent, but realized that really important thing that you want to get a full sweep before connecting and doing something else. Here's where things get a little confusing. This young man who was filming decides to get one in on him. And if anything, the only thing that the partner does as the cop on the ground that goes, need some backup here in the middle of deep Mexico, could love to get some reinforcements. No, my partner is right here. He is just choosing not to get involved. Need backup to my backup, please. Thank you. Get punched in the face. Not fun. Wait, did his homie just hit me? What the fuck is the... So that was a little bit of the correspondence that was happening on the radio on the ones and twos. Hey, look at this, though. This dude is thinking about De La Riva. You don't know what to do with it. Looks like a person who never walked, just getting the first opportunity to use their legs. And the soccer kicks are where things start to get a little bit... This is, again, streets have codes. You don't soccer kick on the streets if you're doing a true boxing match. But guess what? All is fair in love and war. And this is my favorite is the backup now thinks rather than get involved, he's trying to moralize the dude and tell him like, hey man, that's not cool. Like stay in school, dude. Like read a book. Like, I don't know. Donate to a local crime don't pay. At one point, he's probably trying the Smokey the Bear of like, only people start forest fires. I don't know, man. I'm running out of shit to say.
I don't mean to jump in, but listen, I think that wasn't his partner. I think he was just a ref. I think he was reffing.
So they hired a ref to put him in a vest?
He appears to be doing ref duties. He's not doing partner duties.
Listen, dude, I've seen enough of Mike Beltran in person to know he wouldn't let this shit fly. This dude is the most... You know what? Honestly, I have to go back here. I'm not going to lie. The ref dude on the left here, he looks like one of my former managers at Big Five, who was terrible at his job. And there's nothing funnier than that dude looking like, hey, I wonder what he's up to now. Well, it looks like he's doing shit at breaking up fights. So he was as trash as I thought he was 25 years ago. The worst part here is, Tim, if you are a fighter, knowing when to walk away and take your dub and when to take your L's. This dude right here is thinking to himself, oh, look at this form at the very end. That's how you know he's been hit really hard. Tries. And then, of course, Eddie Bravo had to let you know what he thought about this fight.
He was calling the fight right there. That was him throwing the towel in.
Here's a question. And maybe you noticed this and I didn't a little bit earlier. Why does one hand appear to just have a white part to it and the other hand almost in a black glove?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Maybe his glove comes off. Did he start with... This might be a first. Did he start with a glove?
Let's find out. I mean, I think he did. Hold on.
He's gloved up. He's gloved up.
Well, it's the vest comes off. Nope. He's definitely... He definitely had it one gloved it. So he Michael Jackson this fight. And that might have been where things were starting back.
Here's what Skywalker.
Here's what I have to tell you. Obi-Wan over here. This dude, here's what I love about losing a fight. You know you've lost a fight if you're trying to talk trash on the way out. Like, yeah, you guys better get off these streets. Cabrones, get the fuck out of my streets. Like, amazing. Well, Timothy, that was well worth our time. What I would ask for you right now is, now that we've made it all the way to the end, I just want to point out just two quick things. One, Egg says Royal Air Force. Yes, on many occasions when I say my name, like somebody says, hey, can you type your name or your email? And I put RAF ESPARZA. It is definitely capitalized it, and it's made for some interesting responses from people over the years that thought, why do you capitalize all of them? I was like, it's the Royal Air Force. I didn't do it. It's auto text. I don't just do that. Thank you. But now it's a real American freestyle. Tight. Tim, I was told some information by a certain individual. Is it your birthday tomorrow?
Yes, it is. I'll be 47 years old.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm not doing a birthday. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing 47 rounds. That's bananas. But go ahead.
That's very sad because I did organize that for you. So it's kind of hard to turn down. I mean, Jeff Glover's showing up with a Modelo whether or not you do it. So just know that ahead of time. Nonetheless, happy birthday to you, Tim. But why don't you tell the people where they can find you and all of your amazing content, good sir?
Yes, sir. You can find me on your favorite social media platform, Inside BJJ. If you're out in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. And if you're out in Stockton, see my boys at 10th Planet Stockton. We had a little bit of a rough start, a rough takeoff. And speaking of, taking off, we don't know where Kevin's at. So if anybody's seen Kevin, hit us up. We're still looking for him. We're going to put him on the side of a milk carton pretty soon. Kevin, come home. We love you.
Sure, he can come or he doesn't. That's fine. You know what I mean? Just like one way or up or another. I just want to know, like if he's alive, good. Where are you? If he's not alive, he does have an excuse. So that's kind of how I fall. We'll figure it out as we go. But we want to thank you. And Tim, happy early birthday. We appreciate you, brother. So please celebrate kindly with the wife and the kids. I hope you enjoy your day tomorrow, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and close this bitch up for those of you still in attendance. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's installment of The Bullpen. We hope that you enjoyed this one. A few reminders if you do enjoy this show. We would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to all of our content. You can find us everywhere. You can find Inside BJJ everywhere. But you can also find The Grappling Hour on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of those sorts of different things. Instagram, Facebook. I can keep naming things. YouTube at Grappling Hour. Be sure to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Grappling Hour. You can see my interviews 30 days before anybody else. And coming up on YouTube this week, very soon, we're going to have DeAndre Cobre. We're going to have some Damian Balderrama coming up very soon, and some local talent that is incredible out here in Los Angeles, including Elijah Brayton. We got, who else? Ed Medina, who had a 7-second knockout and a crazy second-ass fight, and some really cool other names. So be on the lookouts for those new episodes. Additionally, you can always continue supporting the show by going to rafesparza.com/merch, get you some hoodies and some t-shirts. But for right now, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of The Bullpen. We will be back next week. Until then, we hope you guys are having a great rest of your day. But until then, it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.